So I've been coming to New Beginnings now for a little over 10 years. In December, it'll be 10 years that I'm in practice. And it's been a wild, crazy, and fun 10 years of a ride. And I'm very excited to see where the future goes with it. But I'm really, truly excited to be back with my people, with my chiropractic family. It feels good, like Jim says, to come back home. So thank you so much for inviting me back and always welcoming me with love and open arms. I love and appreciate you all. But I want us to talk about it, leading in from Peter's talk before. He said he was going to tee me up, and it's almost like, I was like, did he read my mind and look at my notes that I was planning right before I came up here? Well, thanks, Peter. So I'll just drop the mic and walk off. But the question I want to start with is, how do you choose to show up? How do you choose to show up? We've all heard before that how we do anything is how we do everything. And so I do talk to my patients about living the lifestyle, because I think if we're not reducing the causes of the subluxation in the first place, which we know are chemical, physical, and emotional stress, then we can adjust until the cows come home, but they're never going to truly heal and adapt, which is the ultimate goal of what we're trying to do. So I do touch on that in my practice. It's okay if I'm a little bit of a mixer, I'm okay with it. I think there's a time and a place for it, and it's important that my people know that, because they're going to learn by example, and the best example I could be is for me to show up at my very best. So when people look at me and they tell me that what they see is energy and happiness, it's not an accident. I'll tell you, it takes a lot of work. But it takes just as much work to be miserable and unhappy, because I've been in that place, and I promise you that I never want to go back to it. I don't share that from stages like this, but if you know me personally, I might have shared that with you. It's a place I never wish to go, so I will work with every ounce of my being to always be a better version of myself. And there's plenty of mornings when I'm scheduled to go work out that I don't want to do it, where I'd rather eat the crappy and bad for you food than make a healthy choice, where I'd like to not have to think positive and just throw in the towel for a little bit, but I can't do that. Because I see myself as a leader, and I'm curious in this room, show of hands, I want to know, if you truly see yourself as a leader, raise your hand. Okay, hands down. How many people in the room are chiropractors? Do you guys get that? If we're a chiropractor, and our goal and our job is to change lives, and we have to be a leader. And leaders have to show up at their very best. You can't have a bad day. Maybe outside of the office. But when you're in your clinic, you can't have a bad day. And it's almost frustrating, right? Because there are days where I just don't want to care. But I can't. Because there's someone who's coming in whose life is going to be changed because of me. Or because of you. Or because of anybody in this room. And if you're having a bad day where you're just a little bit off, they can't heal and adapt. Your adjustment can't be that good. And it's going to have a negative impact on and cause the opposite of exactly what you're trying to do, which is heal your community and allow people to best adapt and be their maximum expression of health. And so it's really important that all of us have teams supporting us. Right? It takes a team to live your dream, and I understand that now more than ever, because I have down days too. I'm a human being. Yes, we could talk about Facebook. It's a highlight reel, right? These are all the fun things. It's not as fun to post the negative, and I think we do that on purpose because what we focus on expands. So why are we going to put negativity out there? It's just going to attract more of it. So let's put the positivity out there, but understanding that we're all human beings having an experience, and it's not always a positive one. But when we're not having our best day, what do we do? Who do we turn to? Who do we have? Who are our mentors? Who are our people that we could reach out to with a text, a phone call, whatever, to be inspired, to be motivated, to be uplifted, or to just tell you, what are you doing? And so I had that with my last associate. I'm super excited. She left the practice. She's opening her very first own practice Monday morning in Colorado, which is so cool because I went through that experience, and now I get to pay it forward to another doc. And we need more of us mentoring and teaching and showing and guiding other people along the way so that we can go out there and be our best selves and show up as true leaders to make a difference not only in our communities but in the entire world. So there was a day in the office. It was about 2 or 3 days before I was leaving I was going on a 2.5-week trip over to Israel and Greece, and I was super excited to go, but I'll tell you that I was burnt out. Like I needed that vacation. And I'll be the first one to say that I love chiropractic with every ounce of my being. I can't imagine being anything else other than a Britney Spears backup dancer, but that's not happening. It's not happening. So this is what I choose to be. And I love it because it's a passion and it fulfills my needs. Like I get high from it when you have a good day. And I know you guys know what I'm talking about. That's why we're all here. Like that feeling, I don't know that you can have that as an accountant. Like I'm sure they love it. My accountant loves what he does, but it's not me. So, but because I put so much energy into what I do, and I'm speaking from my experience, so take from this and with it what you may and what works and resonates for you. I get burnout. And so I learned that I need periodic vacations. And I don't mean a staycation where I just don't go into the office, because unless I'm getting in a plane, my mind is still there. And I get run down and I can't show up and be my best for somebody else. I can't lead when I'm burnt out. So I had my doc, she called me in the other room and she said, sat me down, hey, is everything okay? And I'm like, yeah, because when I'm in my office, I got my game face on, right? Nobody can know what's going on behind the scenes except me. Everything all right? Yeah. She's like, you seem a little anxious lately, like we're all noticing it, like you seem really quick and snappy, like what's going on? I just want to make sure you're doing okay. And I stopped and I took a breath in. And I was like, wow. I didn't realize that what was going on in here was palpable to all of you guys. And it was affecting my whole team. And what do you think that's doing to your patients in the practice? And I said, you know what? I'm burnt out and I'm really ready for my trip. And she said, well, what can we do to support you? Guys, that's so key. Who is supporting you? Never mind in your relationships outside the office, but who on your team is supporting you? You know, I look at it, I had it wrong the whole time. I thought my job as a leader is make sure, are you okay? You okay? Let's check in. You doing all right? Everybody else good? Good, good. Okay, and I'll take care of me. Nobody worry about me. How cool is that we can have transparency amongst our team where they have the opportunity and they feel safe to call me out on my stuff too. And we came up with the game plan of where I needed to be so that our whole team together, I wasn't causing stress to them. And for those 2 days before I left, everything ran smoothly so that we could all lead together and help more people. So you put your hands on someone, they're picking up all that energy, the good and the bad. So I left on my trip and I came back ready and refreshed. So like when Peter was talking about, you know, this is the sign you're waiting for. When I do talks, I always tell people, you don't have to wait till January 1. You don't have to even wait till Monday or tomorrow morning. This can be your moment that you can make a change or make a decision that I'm going to love myself more, care about myself more, and here's the steps I'm going to do to make that happen. But you see, chiropractic lies as the foundation for all of that. No matter how much I want to throw in the towel or let myself have a pity party, I'm still getting adjusted. And one of my coaches that I work with, Alan Russo, you know, I would ask him, I'm like, oh, I just frustrated. And he would say, well, you're either in the pain or in the pain. And I was like, what are you talking about? I used some other language. He said, well, you're either in the pain or you're in the pain. Okay. What are you saying? Well, you're either in the pain of the discipline or in the pain of regret. Which do you choose? And so every time that I'm not wanting to make that healthy choice, or I'm not feeling my best, or there's something off of my game just a little bit, I think about that. And I'd rather put in the work now to reap the benefits of what that's going to look like in the future. And guess what? As leaders, we can teach that to our patients, but we can only truly teach it by being it. Because people can tell when someone's living from their truth. So I first started out in practice as an associate for Sharon Gorman. It was a phenomenal experience. And I remember very distinctly one of the things that she taught me, which was that no matter what, the show must go on. So like if you brought a ticket to a Broadway show and the lead had the flu, would you care? No, you better get someone else in there because I paid good money to be here. In fact, I flew up from Florida to be here. So put your best person in there. I don't care. And that's how our patients show up. They're paying good money to be there, and there's an expectation that you can then deliver the goods. So yes, be a great adjuster, but also be a great leader. Live the lifestyle that's congruent with chiropractic, where you're reducing your chemical stresses, your physical stresses, and your emotional stresses as often as you can, because as we all know, especially from listening to the different speakers throughout the weekend, that there's plenty of that we cannot control. There's plenty that we cannot control, so why not affect all that we can and put all our energy into becoming better at what we can control? And so I love this profession, but I get super frustrated sometimes because I get calls from other chiropractors that are telling me that they're unhappy in practice. And listen, I love it, but it's still work. We're working, right? You should be working. Like, this does not come easy. If it is for you, I don't know. I don't have the secret. I'd like to talk to you. Like, I work, but I love it. So I'm willing to do the work, but I work. And they call me and they'll say, not happy. You look so happy. How do you do it? Well, I'll tell you, I'm not sitting on my butt waiting for things to come to me. You've got to get out there and choose, like Peter was saying, to love yourself and to make those good choices every single day, even on the days when you don't want to. And then have a support system to back you up, not only at home, but especially, like we said before, in the office. You see, my CAs, they know two things. They have two jobs, and that's it. Get the patients in the door and support the docs. If you ask them, what's your job? Get patients in the door, support the docs. All the other systems and things that have to happen fall into place when they're doing those two things. If no patients are coming through the door, they can't support me. It doesn't matter how good of a system we have, how well we can close someone for chiropractic. If they're not coming in, we can't help them. And then support the docs. Because just like we're acting as leaders for everybody else in our community, it's okay for us to ask other people for help or to turn to other people and say, hey, where could I improve? And maybe this is a reminder for all of us to turn to a colleague or someone else and say, how can I help you? You're doing all right. How can I support you? And when we create a world and an environment that allows for that, think of the change and the transformation and the adaptability, because that's what chiropractic's really all about, our ability to adapt in spite of whatever stresses come our way. That's what health and healing, wellness, lifestyle, whatever you want to call it, that's what it all comes down to. Healing from above down, from the inside out. How well your body and your brain can adapt is how well you're going to do everything in this world. How well you're going to lead, how many people you're going to help, how much money's in your bank account, how sexy your body looks, how much you love yourself, how much you hate yourself, all those things depend on how well your body can adapt, which must have adjustments in order to allow the brain to send those signals to the body. So now that you're doing all those other things, at the foundation, you can truly show up as your best. So when someone calls and they say to me, I see you're always happy and positive, I don't get it. And I'm like, well, I work at that. So on my free time, I'll fly to the freezing cold. I live in South Florida. It was like 80 degrees when I left. It was cold at that bonfire. I lasted 2 seconds and then came back inside. 7 years in Florida, I think my blood thinned now. And I say, I go to things. Like, I'm a human being too. And remember, you're not alone. We're not alone. We all have bad days. But what happens when you have that bad day to pick yourself up? And patients, they have it too, but they may not have someone in their life who serves as a positive beacon. You may be the only person that looks that person in the eye for the entire day. You may be the only person that gives that human being a smile, any sort of love, affection, positive energy. You may be the only person that hugs them or touches them, and they need you. So when you're in your practice, when we're in our clinics, when we're doing our thing that we love so much, we must show up as our best. So show of hands again, who in the room is a leader? Hands down. So that means we all accept and assume responsibility whether we like it or not. It comes along with what being a leader is, whether it's being the vice president of a chiropractic school or being the chiropractor that runs your clinic in the office. How we do anything is how we do everything. How we do anything is how we do everything. And what we focus on expands. So let's focus all of that energy into making a positive change, not only in our lives, but that has to come first. Because when we do that, we make a positive change for everybody else that comes into our energy or our aura, whether we notice it or not. Remember in that story I shared with you, I had no idea that they could tell that that was going on for me. And I didn't think as a leader that I could admit to that. But I think when we show our vulnerability and we share that with other people, we can use that as an opportunity to allow constructive criticism, right? It's not like you're right, I'm wrong, I'm the boss, so this is what I said. Like, we need to collaborate together so that we can come up with a bigger vision, a bigger picture of how we can help everyone. And a lot of people have touched on it over the weekend. You guys know how I feel. As long as you're adjusting, I don't have a problem with the other stuff. That's my personal opinion on it. But all those of us who are adjusting, we need to be together because what we focus on expands. And we're looking to change the world. So we got to show up as our best, take our best care of ourselves that we can, so we can go out there and make a difference for every single person that comes in our path. Because someone else touched on it. Like that adjustment that you do on someone might be their last. They might have made a decision that there's some life change going on for them. They're not going to tell you that. There's no patient comes in, hey doc, today's my last one. Hasn't happened for me yet. But say, oh, hey doc, great to see you. And then walk out. Maybe you don't see them again. So if we don't show up as our best, that changes the outcome for them. Whether or not they come back to chiropractic. That's right. Because Rose is with me now. I know I'm doing a good job. So I love being back here. And just like anything else, you know, when I sign up and agree to come to the weekend, it's not the weekend before. This was a while back. And then you get busy. We're in our lives. We're doing our thing. And I'm like, oh, I got to fly and leave the office and do all this stuff. And this is why I say commitment is so key. You have to commit ahead of time, because there's going to be that moment where you're faced with a decision, just like a patient is. Like, hey, I'm feeling good today, so do I need to go in or not? Right? Every time it's an opportunity to reaffirm one way or the other whether they're going to stick with you or make a specific life choice. So I commit to things the second they come my way. I say yes. And then I show up. And today's the permission that I'm giving for all of you. In case you're waiting for it, like Peter said, you're waiting for the sign, your needed permission or whatever it is to show up and be your best, because the world needs us to lead them in a direction where their bodies can better adapt through all natural, gentle, beautiful, amazing chiropractic care, healing from above, down, inside out. Thank you, Jim, the board, everybody. I love and appreciate you. Bye.